Welcome to Black History Monday, the show that takes you on a journey through Black history to expose our contributions, as well as many racial massacres hidden from history. So sit back, free your mind, and follow me on this journey. Chicago Race Riot of 1919. The Chicago Race Riot was the most severe of approximately 25 race riots during the infamous Red Summer, meaning bloody. During Season 1, Episode 14 of Black History Monday covered the Red Summer. You should go back and watch that episode to get some clarity as to what that was and why it is important to never forget, as they say for massacres of other ethnicities. Following World War I, there was large-scale African-American migration to the North, and that intensified racial tension. Let me just say this. Dear white people, what did you expect Black people to do? They were treated like animals in the South during slavery. They watched as their family members were killed, raped, and sold. The Black women were forced to take care of white children, often having to neglect their own, watching them die at times, and they were never paid while the wealth of these white families grew for centuries to what they are now. Of course, they moved north because they thought the North supposedly had more race leniency. Apparently, the racism didn't fall too far from the evil. The whites were angry due to industrial labor competition, overcrowding in urban ghettos, and greater militancy among Black war veterans who had fought to preserve democracy. Apparently, that fight for democracy was only for those with white skin. In the South, revived Ku Klux Klan activities resulted in 64 lynchings in 1918 and 83 in 1919. Race riots broke out in Washington, D.C., Knoxville, Tennessee, Longview, Texas, and Phillips County, Arkansas. In the North, the worst race riots erupted in Chicago and Omaha, Nebraska. Chicago racial tension concentrated on the South Side was particularly exacerbated by the pressure for adequate housing. The Black population had increased from 44,000 in 1910 to more than 109,000 in 1920. The riot was triggered by the death of a Black youth on July 27th. He had been swimming in Lake Michigan and had drifted into an area reserved for whites. He was stoned and eventually drowned. Of course, the police refused to arrest the man responsible. Crowds began to gather, which led to sporadic fighting between gangs and mobs of both races. For 13 days, Chicago was without law and order, even though the state militia had been called out on the fourth day. By the end, 38 were dead, 23 blacks, 15 whites, 537 injured, and 1,000 Black families made homeless. The Chicago Race Riot helped shock the nation out of indifference to its growing racial conflict. President Woodrow Wilson castigated the white race as the aggressor in both Chicago and Washington riots, and efforts were launched to promote racial harmony through voluntary organizations and legislation in Congress. How's that working out? Remember the theme from the last wake-up call video of Season 1? They do not care about us. So let's briefly look at these details. Eugene Williams, a 17-year-old African-American playing in Lake Michigan, floated across a non-existent but acknowledged color line separating whites from blacks in the swimming area. Whites hurled stones at Williams in the water, after which he slipped under the water and drowned. African American soldiers had returned home from Europe expecting to enjoy the fundamental freedoms they had fought to defend. Instead, they got more of the same hate that still infests this country to this very day like an incurable disease. When the riot finally ended on August 3rd, $250,000 worth of property had been destroyed. That's over $3 million in 2020. Family, as I keep showing you, the reason black people are treated the way they are is that generations of whites have been teaching the same race-hating lessons to their children. Evil begets evil, and so forth. Those who are still surprised at the news we are subject to involving discrimination against blacks in 2020 need to watch my Black History Monday series from beginning to end, stop fighting each other, and learn their history. Next week, Monday, we will continue on this journey as we walk through the doors of history. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Click the notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload new videos. Find The Awakening Frequency on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Research is key. Always do your own research and never just listen to what people tell you. We are The Awakening Frequency. Out of the millions of potential subscribers, we just want to reach one so each one can teach one. Peace.